Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. This year in 2022, the week before Christmas, or Christmas time, whatever, it's still November right now, I thought I'd go ahead and get a review up before this upcoming week where I start reviewing Christmas horror stuff for the channel. I thought I'd go ahead and talk about a film that I've been trying to watch since this shit came out at like the beginning of October. Or mid-October, or whatever it was. It's been like a month and a half. I'm no joke. I've tried my best to watch more than like 10 minutes at a time of this fucking awful movie. It's a remake of a film that my boy Stranger Grayson, I recommend checking out his channel here on YouTube. He might be down in the comments section, I don't know. He's a big YouTuber reviewer for horror movies as well. Stranger Grayson recommended this film to me last year I'd never heard of. I feel like I had heard the title, but I'd never seen it for sure. Called Terror Train, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. And it was a cool idea for a slasher film on a train with some med school students. Pretty cool idea. David Blaine was in the film. A lot of really cool little details in that film, and for what it is, it's well made. I did a review for it in case you want to check it out. They did a remake. Specifically, when I say they, I don't mean Hollywood. Yeah, I mean Tubi. Tubi did their own standalone movie. They made a remake of Terror Train. And I'm telling you, this is one of the worst horror remakes I have ever seen in my life. Now, I love Tubi. I have a lot of love for Tubi. I've talked about them constantly here on the channel, constantly on other things I work on other channels. I have a lot of love and respect for Tubi and the things that they do as a, I don't want to call them a publisher, but as they, in my opinion, the better Netflix nowadays, where they actually have many different things for you to watch. If you're a big Westerns fan like myself, they have a ton of that. If you're a big horror fan, they have a lot of things on there for you to watch, especially classic stuff from like the 50s. If you love things like that, Tubi is for you. However, if you like complete and utter shit, I promise you, you can always find something on Tubi that's going to be garbage. This is a great example of one of the worst things I will ever review on this channel. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It is fucking painful to watch. You have no idea. Unless you've seen Terror Train's remake from this year, from like a month and a half ago, the 2022 remake of Terror Train, you don't know how awful this is. This, to me, is the ultimate identification of a movie that is trying so hard to nudge teenagers in the ribs and be like, hey, I'm a 60-year-old man, but I know what we're talking about here. It tries its best to be like, kind of finger on the pulse. Like, I'm not saying it's woke, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, it's trying to pretend to be that way. It's interesting how hard it's trying to do that. But as a remake, what does this film do? Well, let's talk about the plot first. It's essentially the exact same plot with the exact same moments and beats and build-up and everything else, all the way to the ending with a different twist, a little bit of a change-up on a twist from the original film. Essentially, there's a group of med students who have graduated who get put on a train, and instead of it being at like Christmas time or New Year's Eve as the original film went, I think the original film is New Year's Eve, but it still has that December cold weather snow feel to it when you watch that original movie. It is an 80s film, just in case you don't know. This is taking place on Halloween, as a matter of fact, when they graduate and whatever. And the kids are on this this train for their party bus, or whatever you want to call it. And there's a killer that snuck on, that wore a clown costume he stole from somebody else. And he's killing people. That setup is fairly similar. And like I said, beat for beat, pretty much, when you watch the film as the original film. And I just saw it last year, almost an entire year ago. And I remember most of that film because even though it wasn't like an amazing movie, it was a fairly memorable film. I remember a lot of it, frankly. And watching this and seeing everything down to the damn lizard costume in the movie be the exact same thing. Watching the kills and the setup for the kills be almost the exact same thing every single time. Certain tension-filled scenes are almost stolen from the original film. It feels like a tax evasion movie. I'm not saying Tubi's doing anything illegal, it just feels like that kind of movie. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. I can't believe how identical this is to the original film. It feels completely pointless. Completely pointless in the saddest way. The writing in it's embarrassing. The acting in it's embarrassing. The killer is not threatening at all. The killer changes costumes a few times. That's really goofy looking. It looks like a lower budget, straight to video, straight to DVD movie. It feels like the only thing there was any effort put into was the actual like train set. Not all of it, but some of it. It's embarrassing. When we talk about effects, the special effects, practical effects, whatever, it's mostly practical, but it's really just like really terrible looking blood. You don't really see people get killed on camera. A lot of it's done off camera. Or it's just a neck slit, that kind of thing. Something really cheaply done over and over again throughout the entire like hour and 25 minute runtime, or hour and 40 minute, whatever this fucking movie was time-wise. It looks like trash. It feels like trash. It has nothing going for it. There is not a single thing in this movie that I have any kind of appeal to. The music's bad. Everything about it's bad. I don't think you guys realize when I talk about movies, I try to find at least one thing I can appreciate about a movie. And there's nothing in here. Very rarely do I feel that way about a film that I genuinely kind of hate it. This is one of those movies. This is one of those movies that I genuinely, deeply, on like a primal level, hate it. I think it is absolute garbage, and I think that I hope and pray people find my review a month and a half afterward and you never watch this shit, ever, because it's going to ruin your life. Terror Train, the original film, isn't amazing, but it's worth the watch. If you take the time to watch it, you'll probably have some fun with it. There are things done in here that just feel like a tax evasion movie. It feels like absolute garbage. It's boring. It's bad in every sense of the word. There is nothing. I remain saying this. There is zero that is worth watching this piece of shit for. I mean that, deeply. From the bottom of my black, cold heart. It's trash. There's nothing good in here. If I had to rate this horrible, horrible, useless, pointless remake of Terror Train on a 5-star basis, I think you guys, if you know me well enough, you can probably already tell what I'm going to do. It's a 1 out of 5 stars. If there was one thing I could find in here that I liked, even slightly, I'd give it like a 2 out of 5. No, hell no. It deserves a 1 out of 5 stars. It's one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. A long time, dude. With that being said, that kind of wraps up the reviews for anything that's non-Christmas for the rest of this year. And I guess we'll start next week picking up some stuff that I've already kind of watched. I watched one that I hope that you'll enjoy. It's a kind of a Christmas classic for a lot of people. Christmas horror comedy classic. And we'll talk about that when I get there. And I have some other stuff I'm hoping to talk to you about next week. Anyway, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Terror Train from 2022? Do you hate this as much as I do? Do you love the original? I'd love to hear all that down in the comment section down below. What's the worst part of this movie? The worst sin that it commits to you as a viewer? I would love to hear what you have to say down in the comment section down below. Anyway, 1 out of 5 stars. Do not watch this. Don't even spend the time on it. I know Tubi's completely free, but don't do it. It's not worth the time or the effort to sit through this. I promise you. I promise you, don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. God bless you all, and goodbye.